Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our live coverage of the 2024 National Assembly elections. We will be live with you till 10 p.m.
And polling stations opened for voters at 12 p.m. today and will run until 12 a.m. with great turnout expected and flawless organization. Here's more details in this report.
State ministries with all their sectors and cadres are redoubling efforts and racing against time to harness all capabilities and energies to ensure a comprehensive and highly professional coverage of the major democratic event represented by the 2024 National Assembly elections in a manner befitting Kuwait's reputation and status. It comes with close follow-up by state ministers and officials of the integrated plan to cover this National Assembly elections after the date was approved by the Council of Ministers. Thus, the Ministry of Information established a media center in order to facilitate the tasks of local and international media professionals on the day of the elections, in addition to providing all logistical capabilities and information to the elections, the history of the National Assembly, and the Kuwaiti democratic process. Meanwhile, government agencies represented by the Kuwait Municipality, Interior and Information made a great effort, in addition to the keenness of officials to conduct an inspection tour to ensure the smooth operations of all concerned bodies to make this electoral process a success. Additionally, the Kuwait Fire Force consisted of several units distributed among the main polling stations, which were equipped with rapid intervention mechanisms, in addition to the presence of a squad from the control and prevention sectors.
In a nation where unity is strength, where every voice matters, the state of Kuwait unites us. On the 4th of April, Election Day arrives. A day where the nation's heartbeat resonates in every vote cast. It's a day of empowerment, a day of choice, where the future is shaped by the will of the people. Collecting the voice of the nation. Choose your future. Be part of the change and vote on the 4th of April.
To the elections, the history of the National Assembly, and the Kuwaiti democratic process.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have 5 correspondents in 5 constituencies. But first, we're going to start off with Hadil Fahad at the 1st constituency. Good evening, Hadil. Can you please give us the latest updates? Hadil, can you please give us the latest updates at your constituency? Okay, we'll go back to Hadil, but now we'll move to our correspondent Bashar Mohammed, who is at the 5th constituency. Good evening, Bashar. Can you please give us the latest updates?
Constituency, which is the 5th constituency, and I'm in Ja'far bin Ali Talib Middle School. And currently we have 270,000 registered voters in this area, and we have registered 93,000 votes so far, which is 34%, over 34%, and it seems to be a turnout. And due to the holy month, I'm sure there will still be late arrivals, and the numbers will continue increasing.
Thank you, Bashar. And now we're going to move on to Abdullah Al Ajmi, who's at the 4th constituency. Good evening, Abdullah. Can you please give us the latest updates? Good evening, Abdullah. Can you please describe to us the level of organization at your constituency and how's the voter turnout? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to our other correspondent, Farid. Farid Dashti. Farid, can you please give me the update at your constituency?
Hello, and I would like to greet and salute all the viewers of KTV2 and the English news. And I'd like to thank all the staff and crew members in the studio. I'm now in Al Qadsiya and in the second constituency, and basically in precisely in the high school of Isa Ahmed Al Hamid. It's a high school in Al Qadsiya. The people casting their votes easily, smoothly, with the harmony, and even the security guys and also the volunteers are there. We see the police officers, organizing, everything is smooth. And I think, as I asked the judge inside the main committee of that school, he said to me, it's 50% the attendance and people, casting the vote. So definitely this is the only school, not the only school. There are many schools and many committees and subcommittees. We can't still, but all over, we can't say 30% all over Kuwait. The news and reports, say that. But as we speak, people are pouring in, and everybody coming since they finished. They broke their fast, and it's after Iftar, and as you know, everybody starting to slowly come to the schools and cast their votes. So I think everything went smoothly, and I would like to thank a special thanks for the police officers, police personnel, Ministry of Health, and the volunteers, and all the Ministry of Information for their basically efforts.
That sounds great. Thank you, Farid. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're moving on to our correspondent, Hadil Fahad, who's at the first constituency. Hi, Hadil. Good evening. What's the latest update at your constituency?
Yes, Reem, good evening. So today, the 2024 National Assembly elections kicked off to choose 50 members to represent the Kuwaiti people in the National Assembly. I'm here right now covering the first constituency where there are 41 candidates competing. Let's talk about the first state's institutions. They are working hand in hand to ensure the process runs smoothly. The most notable thing I observed is the collaboration between the Ministry of Interior and the voters. Additionally, Ministry of Health has equipped 123 clinics with the medical personnel. So Reem, also additionally, the volunteers, especially through the Kuwaiti Red Crescent Society, play a vital role in assisting various groups, especially the elderly and also those with the special need. And this shows that everyone in the state is working well together and everything is very organized.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Hadil. Ladies and gentlemen, now we move to Abdullah Al-Ajmi, who's at the 4th constituency. Good evening, Abdullah. Can you please give us the latest updates?
Yes, Reem, I can hear you. I'm currently at Abdullah Mubarak area, specifically in Shidadiya school in the 4th constituency. I can tell you that the voting process is going extremely smoothly, as the Ministry of Interior are here and making sure everything is going according and overseeing the operations of the voting. And also the Ministry of Health is here with their clinics inside the school, and also there's ambulances outside the school in case of any emergency, God forbid. Also, the volunteers are here. I can see them guiding voters who have any condition like disability or any kind of circumstances. Also, regarding the turnout, I was talking to the committee behind me, and they informed me that that the turnout increased dramatically after the Iftar, after people are energized and ready to cast their votes. Also, in the 4th constituency, where we are right now, there is 48 candidates competing for 220,000 932 votes in the 4th constituency. I would like also to urge anybody who still didn't cast their vote to head to the nearest polling station and to cast their vote, as there are like a few hours remaining, approximately 3 or 4 hours remaining as of right now, and each vote will make a difference in the elections this year. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Abdullah. That sounds great. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move to Abdulrahman Limhanna, who's at Abrak Khaitan High School for Girls in the 3rd constituency. Good evening, Abdulrahman. Can you please give me the latest updates?
Greetings to you, Reem, and to our audience in the state of Kuwait. Coming to you live from the 3rd constituency, exactly after we finished from the polling station from Khaitan. We also moved to the polling station at Maria Al Qibtiyya High School for Girls, and we've seen the 2024 National Assembly elections in practice, and we've actually seen the eligible voters already coming in big numbers and casting their votes and choosing wisely, and the spirit of democracy is being felt by every citizen of the state of Kuwait. Now, let us take a look at the numbers we have here. So overall, the 3rd constituency, it has 38 candidates, 8 of them are women, okay? And that's the 8 of them, the 8 women in the 3rd constituency, they make up the most out of the 5 constituencies. And that is just a great job that women is doing in this constituencies. And also the presence of women as voters is actually high. And I've spoken to some officials at Maria Al Qibtiyya polling station and also at Khaitan, and they told me that the 3rd constituency is actually seeing quite good number of presence. There is about 38.66% number of presence and voters, and 34.51% of whom are women. And considering it's Ramadan and it's the last 10 days and travel high, like there is high demand on travel already. So that number of presence is actually good, and it's actually great for the elections. Now, let us move to something more important. Let us shed light on the role of ministries in schools. As I've seen myself, I've seen the Ministry of Health, and I've seen their modernized clinics that they developed and the precautionary measures they have taken. And I've seen the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Justice, and other ministries with other volunteers, all working hands in hand in cooperation, making sure that there is transparency, security, organization, and safety for the whole electoral process. And I'm glad that the people of Kuwait are actually taking by the advice that they should come and cast their votes, and they have to choose wisely for a more prosperous future of the state of Kuwait.
You're right, that sounds refreshing. Thank you so much, Abdulrahman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank our 5 correspondents, Hadil, Bashar, Abdullah, Farid, and Abdulrahman for their work. And now we move back to my colleague, Yusuf.
Thank you, Reem, and to our correspondents for sharing the latest updates with us from the schools and keeping us updated and informed. And now we'd like to welcome with us guest engineer, consultant, businessman, Mr. Jassim Qabazard. Mr. Jassim, thank you for being with us here today. It's always a pleasure to have you with us on set.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here again and participate in this historic event.
Mr. Jassim, first of all, how do you evaluate the level of turnout today, in your opinion?
First of all, it is happening in Ramadan, and we still is not over. But from the reports which I hear, the beautiful coverage that the correspondents are doing, it appears that the turnout is good, is within the expectations. I remember that most of the turnouts during the past elections ranges between 39 to 48%. And if that's let's say that percentage is maintained, then we're talking about the normal participation, which is a good indication given the fact that it was a very short time for the candidates to prepare themselves, old candidates and new candidates to prepare themselves for this occasion, plus that it's a month of Ramadan, which is a very difficult month to do activities actually and be,
Which I was going to ask you about. Did Ramadan play a role, whether in increasing the number or decreasing the number, in your opinion?
I would expect it will decrease to a certain degree, that people are sort of not physically prepared to participate. It affects their emotions. And I have some friends who really did express their unwillingness to go, mainly because he was fasting or he was not very excited because of the nature of the month. And I think this affected the operation. However,
it surprised us though.
From what I see, that from the people are still coming, and apparently the women section, the women, they constitute more than half of the voters. There are about 430,000 of them, and men are close to 405,000. So the percentage of ladies are more, and I hope that they do make a change and a difference and have more women come to the seats of parliament.
How about the organization, cooperation among state institutions to ensure a successful day? We just heard the one side from our correspondents on the ground, and we want to hear the other side from your own perspective.
First, we have to appreciate and thank the government for making this day a day of, let's say, rest. Call it a rest, and relieving all employees from government agencies from going to work, and the private sector, the banking and the banking institutions and financial institutions likewise participated in this event and allowed their employees to be free and comfortable to go do their voting. That's a very, very important point of participation and accommodation by the government for its people to vote. With respect to what is going on, really, I believe that the whole operation of voting in Kuwait has always been a very active event, and cause people to be more interested and more interactive with each other. I have seen quite a bit of, let's say, meetings and rallies that have been held in tents by some of these candidates to raise the participation of the voters and to listen to what they say and to, let's say, try to get their votes for going to the National Assembly and hoping to win the seat.
They made it a quick in and out process, thanks to all government sectors who participated in creating and making this day go very successful. Mr. Jassim, we want to move to democracy here in Kuwait.
Yes.
How do you value democracy and its contribution to the development in the country? This is a separate topic, right?
Well, actually, it is a very important topic. And our democracy, it seems to be all the time going under test because of the confrontation which happens in the parliament between the legislators and the executors of the laws of Kuwait, which is the government. If we look back at the history, Kuwait's National Assembly has been dissolved or nullified almost 9 times since 1976. That has 2 sides of the story. The good side is that there's always reform. With each dissolving stage, the people and the leadership looks for upgrading the level of people's expectation and upgrading the level of performance of the National Assembly. Sometimes the leadership changes the government when it finds out that it is not cooperating with the members of parliament. To say that from my side as a government, I am appreciative, I am cooperating, I'm willing to change my ministers if you're not happy with their performances, and I replace them. Sometimes it's the other way around, when the parliamentarians themselves do not show the type of cooperation which can help lead the country forward, then it is dissolved and re-elections are done. If you go now back for the past 3 years, 4 years, almost in less than a year we've had one election. This is the third election in the past 4 years. It is a tedious operation, but it also indicates that both the people and the leadership want to do a better job in each stage and each period of the running of the National Assembly. In the last one, His Highness the Emir was disappointed, and that shows how he is following and he is pursuing the performance of the National Assembly to the point and focusing on what's going on until he reached that there was some degree of danger in the good performance of the National Assembly and for the sake of the government and its people. And he held both the cabinet, which are his representatives, ministers, and the legislators accountable. And he held them responsible for not doing their job, in simple words, and bringing some kind of a damage to the welfare of the country and to the welfare of the people. Now, this democratic system, in all its different values and changes, indicates the vitality of this system. And this is a good indication. I mean, it is not the leadership does not let it go if it reaches a point that damage is going to be infringed upon the people. So the democracy actually is helping develop the country, and we as people
are responsible
for this, and he holds us responsible not only to perform but to also hold our representatives accountable if they do not do their jobs.
That's true.
And he has given examples that sometimes members of the parliament actually come and pursue a matter which does not serve the public but serves personal interests. So it's quite a remarkable let's say observation, and he took the proper action, telling the people that I see what you don't see, and therefore I have to dissolve the National Assembly. Having said all of this, yes, this does help the country to be, as I say, vital, thinking to improve the efficiency and the productivity of our National Assembly. And this is a positive drive, and we hope that it continues, irrespective that it's taking time, delaying lots of projects. They get delayed because ministers are not there, or because it just doesn't take them time to organize themselves, and they have to be resolved.
Correct.
The ministers, you can see some ministers don't have much time to perform the programs and to be according to their budgets. So these are the good parts and let's say the negative parts of the system.
Correct. Just to clarify, any excellent or good outcome takes time. This process, the democracy process that we have here in Kuwait, each time it's being resolved, we are moving forward to a better future, as we can see, and the responsibility falls on us Kuwaiti citizens to choose the candidates responsibly, who are going to represent us and represent Kuwait and lead us to a prosperous future.
Exactly.
Mr. Jassim,
and actually, in more than one event, His Highness the Emir, whether his speech or his addressing the National Assembly, he always stresses that the people have to be aware of the importance of the democracy system, and they have to positively participate in selecting the proper representative.
It does start with the people to choose the correct candidates.
Exactly.
Correct. Mr. Jassim, what can the new parliament learn from the past experiences, again, in your own opinion, and avoid the mistakes made by previous parliaments, let's say, to contribute to a better development here in the country?
A key factor is cooperation between both sides of the parliament, which is the legislators and the executive party. Meaning that in order for the ministers to be able to perform their jobs, each one in his own particular ministry, they need the support of the legislators. Occasionally, I can say even more than occasionally, legislators fall into the trap of pursuing very limited problems with their ministers. They take their time by asking so many questions, which in turn means that he is not really searching for the betterment of the performance, but rather to get the support of the minister to do what this particular legislator or MP wants for his personal interest or for the interest of a few of his constituency members and voters, which is a sort of a counterproductive activity by the MPs. This has happened in many occasions where the minister is very much annoyed by persistence of single, let's say, push and drive by few MPs that are not really on the track of improving the system of that ministry in totality, but they search on a for particular problem. This means that sometimes the MPs themselves are not fully aware of what needs to be done and how his powers has to be used for the best with for the public and for the performance of the minister. And unfortunately, one of the important, let's say, tools of the parliamentary system is to hold the minister accountable, and if he's not, they take him to inquisition, which is a very dangerous operation where if they are really after a personal vendetta and they want to get rid of this minister, no matter how good he is, they use this tool to wave at his count of move him out of office, okay, which is it has a certain name which I cannot recall at this time, and vote of confidence. They call it vote of confidence. This tool is a good tool to hold the minister accountable and perform well, but it's also a dangerous tool when it's used to threaten his existence, to threaten his work unfairly.
So that tool should be used wisely when needed, when necessary, as we say.
Yeah, this is one of the major I have seen factors that has caused friction, disappointment between members of the parliament and ministers. This leads sometimes for the council of ministers to feel together that there is no real cooperation. Sometimes the council of ministers goes and complains to His Highness the Emir that I'm not getting cooperation, and that may lead to a formal letter, and when the council of ministers does this, then that means half of the decision-making process is not active, so the other half cannot participate. Therefore, either His Highness the Emir changes the government, brings a new government, and many times they do this to show the people that the government is being lenient and being, let's say, positive, and otherwise he holds the member of parliament themselves accountable, and by that he dissolves it. So it is a matter of proper cooperation. Always boils down to cooperation between the two.
So in your opinion, we need better cooperation, good balance between MPs, and to put all self-interest aside and focus on the public interest. Mr. Jassim, we'll get back to more questions with you after the following report. We'll go now to this following report and get back to you with more questions with Mr. Jassim Qabsart.
Representing Kuwaiti women in Parliament, the Kuwaiti people elected 4 women as a part of its 50th representatives and won seats in 3 electoral districts, the 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Thus, the 2009 Council has drawn up a roadmap and a new vision for the role of women not only in parliamentary work, but in the political, social, and economic life of Kuwaitis, those who follow the path of a democratic life in Kuwait from the era of the Emirate to the era of the state that owns the constitution and sovereignty will notice that it lived and practiced democracy and shura and developed from its beginnings in Duawin, where the ruler and citizens had a permanent and continuous meeting in a small parliament, which was expressed in a later stage, the National Assembly, Great House of People's Representatives.
Affairs Department. The third phase was based on covering the voting and counting process and the results announcement, which means the ministry will cover the elections from the opening of the polls till the final results are announced. The Ministry of Information established a media center in order to facilitate the tasks of local and international media professionals on the day of the 2024 nation's elections, in addition to providing all logistical capabilities and information about the elections and the history of the National Assembly. The official media would start live coverage from the opening of the polls through correspondence, in addition to conducting interviews with voters to talk about the electoral process. With the closing of the polls, television will begin live broadcast the votes with counting transparently in all committees until the official results are announced by the judges, with an analytical studio organized after the official results are announced. The Ministry of Information was working to complete the details of the media coverage plan for the electoral event, which coincides with the pragmatic plan for the holy month of Ramadan, where all the expertise, capabilities, and skills of the ministry's employees have been harnessed to carry out this task in a manner that benefits Kuwait.
Back to you with our live coverage of the 2024 National Assembly elections with our esteemed guest, Mr. Jassim Qabazir. Mr. Jassim, once again, thank you for being with us here tonight and sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.
Mr. Jassim, it has been 18 years now since women were granted the right to vote and run for parliament. How do you value this experience?
It's quite a good question, my friend. Women's rights actually were addressed in the National Assembly in 1962, from the very beginning. And it got turned down. Kuwait was still undergoing the world of a man. It could not accept women to be participants. And this brings a point in my memory that I had a discussion with the late Margaret Thatcher about women's rights after the liberation of Kuwait. And she said, it took 100 years for women in the United Kingdom to gain their rights to vote. 100 years.
100 years.
So it is not going to be, it wasn't an easy fight. They have to actually fight for their rights. Men will not simply and easily
allow it.
Relinquish that right to women. Unfortunately, I am an advocate of women's rights. However, in 1962, it got turned down. It tried again in 1985, it got turned down. In 1986, it got turned down. And during the invasion, the women of people played a very courageous and brave role. And they were outspoken, they were very devoted to the liberty of Kuwait, and they sacrificed their lives, and we had martyrs. And it showed how important women were to the existence of the life of the men who could not appear during the night, and women were doing the business of communicating and taking food and money.
Risking their own lives doing that.
Exactly. So, and Kuwait was being, let's say, helped by the coalition of 30 countries naturally they all wanted to see the woman to have rights. And I believe that His Highness, late His Highness Amir Jabir al-Ahmed, actually stuck to his word, and during the first years of liberation, he put the bill for vote, and in the year 2005, by majority of vote, not total, but majority of vote, they were granted to be able to vote. Since then, we've had a more active in the political life of Kuwait by women. They became ministers, the first thing. We had ministers, we had 2 ministers in 1994. And since then, we've had an increase of involvement of women in the political life during all elections. They are present, they participate, they hold their own rallies, they hold their own lobbying, which is a very good, let's say, activity to do. And that increases the awareness of the importance and the participation as a partner, ladies, in the political life of Kuwait. Plus that they have to also demand for the, let's say, rights of the women, listen to their grievances, and also work out on any kind of, let's say, misfortune they have in the ownership of land as partners with their husbands. If they separate, if they pass away, they have to make sure that the lady does not lose her right in ownership.
She has her right also.
Exactly. And sometimes it has to do with some financial help. The divorcees, when they are divorced, they need to be addressed, their problems. And I understand there are some existing problems where women need a woman's vote in the National Assembly to demand and their rights and come up with legislation. It has to be legislation. Plus, I think that we have seen now there are ambassadors who are representing Kuwait in the international community. There are as cultural attaches, and now they are moving into the legal and the court system to be advocates and to become possibly judges.
Correct.
So, which is a great turning point for the ladies' rights in Kuwait. And I believe if they continue with this process, our democratic system is definitely a good vehicle
moving forward, which
to move forward and
moves
improve.
us back a question to where we spoke about democracy and it contributing to the development of Kuwait. We can see huge changes that have been done over the past 10, 20, 30 years.
Yes.
And we are improving and moving forward and being in the top league, as we say.
Yes, we have seen recently young ladies who are in all different aspects of professionals. They are leaders actually, and
not just being leaders, they're also in athletes as well.
Athletes, correct, and also they are entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And they are also inventors.
Correct.
Some of them have gone to the space program, which must be a good indication for men to look more up to the performance of women in our life, and they are more than 50% of the population, so why not?
Correct.
Why not?
Kuwaiti women are being seen globally, as we can see worldwide. Also, they are being seen in Forbes magazines, where they are top leaders, entrepreneurs as well. They are our mothers, our sisters, our daughters as well. They make us proud, and as we know, women raise us, and they raised us well.
True. And they are also very active in their non-profit organizations in Kuwait, doing fantastic charity work, doing
not just
voluntary
Kuwait,
work.
also outside of Kuwait.
Yes, they move outside of Kuwait and they risk their lives to countries where have some catastrophes, natural catastrophes. They go there and as people to help, people to do medical support, and very active. And hasn't been for the democracy system where they feel the freedom of movement, the freedom of speech, the freedom of being almost equal in their work with the man employee, they would have not been able to achieve all of this. They get some benefits with maternity leaves, they get for sick leave, which is their right, and they are gaining it. So the democratic system is actually a positive vehicle.
And it is
for
working.
men,
We
and
are
it's
seeing the
working.
results.
What I would like to see, more activity from them, mainly because they are a 50% power in voting.
Correct. As
They
we've seen today.
As we've seen
and
today,
heard.
yes, and they should be more active than what they are right now.
Well, that makes us proud as Kuwaitis that we are putting the standard of equality between men and women and showing the world that women can do it.
Yes.
And women worldwide as well can.
Exactly.
Mr. Jassim, what are the most persistent concerns and aspirations of Kuwaiti people that are going into these elections this year?
This is quite an important question, and this is a very important, let's say, anticipation and expectation from the voters, from their representative in the near future. After tomorrow, they'll be all announced. We have many issues that needs to be addressed and addressed seriously. And it is not going to be the job of the MP to raise the question, but also to help the government to move and push its programs forward. Because the government has a 5-year program and budget which they have to abide with and perform. So the legislators, which are the MPs, they have to support them and help them to move this forward and take any hurdles which are in their way out of the way, they require legislation. We have, for instance, the expectation of raising the standard of living in Kuwait, because there is international inflation all over. And Kuwait is no different than any other country and has been affected by the international inflation. So the people, the employees, the simple employee, the middleman needs for his income to be increased, or prices need to be decreased, or some balance. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be paid more, but it could be, the prices could be controlled more by the government to maintain a certain standard that neither the merchant is suffering nor the end user is
taken advantage
of. So this is an issue which has been raised. We have in the campaigns, and people are always demanding all year, whether there is election or there is no election.
People are demanding.
They are always demanding, and this is a fact of life.
Did the MPs or the candidates, let's say, focus on those demands by the people within their campaigns throughout the past month?
The fact that I see this issue being repeated by the people and demanded by the people, that would give an indication that MPs are not really living to that expectation, not to that degree. There are promises given. Sometimes they give a promise on doing some financial benefit for the people, which is not possible to perform. Financial with the banks, for instance, requesting the banks to stop loans,
which is not possible solution.
Yeah, get the government to pay the loans of the people. This is not a solution. They are afraid of new taxes, let's say. People are afraid of new fees are implemented. These are all increasing directly or indirectly the costs on them. So this is one issue. The another issue is the infrastructure in terms of education, health, housing, and roads of Kuwait. If you look at these aspects, I call them all infrastructure system. Each one has its problem and needs to be addressed and needs to be upgraded, needs to be improved. And first of all, I believe everybody has to sit together and identify the problem. Because we hear sometimes very open statements, general statements. These don't serve any purpose. It does not help the government ministers.
Nor the people.
Nor the people. It's like something in the air.
Self-interest back to self-interest again.
Whatever, or they're not focused. So, as you know, a good doctor is a doctor who can identify what's wrong with you, then he can give you the right prescription and treatment. So we have to identify the problems. I don't see until now any such plan that identifies the problem and says this is where we should have a scheme of recovery and fixing. So these 4 or 5 aspects are very primary, especially in the housing issue. We have lots of people waiting for 10, 20 years to get their turns, to get their home. There must be an easier and simpler, let's say, formula.
There
for
is a
this.
formula from the general understanding that there is a formula or there is a treatment for this solution, but we just need to go back to our first questions where we just need cooperation
Yes.
and people to work together for the better
Exactly.
future of Kuwait.
That's very true. So these are the main things which I believe are main targets of the upcoming. Plus, that they all have to really cooperate with the government.
Mr. Jassim, let's move off topic a little bit. And how about people? How should they react to these unsettling economic changes that are affecting the whole world, as we can see? As we can see, the global economic development is suffering. How are we going to be affected here in Kuwait?
I believe that the news media, the social media, has provided every individual in Kuwait the information which is going on in the world.
Correct.
Regarding economy, regarding health problems, regarding food security, regarding political security, and also regarding some of the disputes which are leading to wars and catastrophic results to human beings and humanity. It is up to us as a people here to be aware of what is going on around us. You cannot overlook what is going on around us. And we have to listen when the leadership of Kuwait brings this subject to the people through their speeches. We have to listen.
Correct.
And we have to appreciate what he's saying. He cannot go into details, but in general terms, he's asking the people to be appreciative.
And vigilant as well.
And vigilant about how we are living, compare it to what other people's lives are, and see where your decision comes, and be realistic about it. And also participate in absorbing some of the shortcomings of bad economy which is affecting the country, help absorbing it, and make sure that you do not react in a way that damages your own existence, damages your own lifestyle, damages your own security of life, because you think if you go out of Kuwait you have a better life. This type of awareness, sometimes philosophical, but it is actually a practical and a real thing that we have to address. I believe it's a two-sided issue. Both the government has to explain more to the people the effect of what's happening outside to our lifestyle, and the people have to also be aware that how much that is affecting them, and be realistic and respond to the cause of the leadership, and work with him and with the government and with the National Assembly to be a productive community rather than be just a community which is exercising its right to be critical. They don't like this, they don't like this, they don't like this. All the time they show dislike. And people are never going to be satisfied with what they get. But I believe it's a big role for the National Assembly not to raise the expectations of the people beyond what is normal, beyond what is logical, and compared to what is happening around us. So I believe that we are part of the international community. The government is playing its role properly with its respecting international laws, but the people have higher expectations, and they need to be suppressed of their too much expectations from a government of Kuwait.
Mr. Jassim, you said something very important, and you went direct into the main point, which is people should listen.
Yes.
We do thank God for having a wise leadership here in Kuwait, for keeping us informed and for telling us to pay attention, and for giving us democracy here in Kuwait. And it's our role to choose it and be responsible by who we vote to.
Exactly.
Who's going to be responsible by taking the decisions when they are in the National Assembly.
Yes.
And we hope for the best in the future.
Inshallah.
And we hope for everyone to act responsibly and choose the correct candidates.
Well said. Thank
We'll
you.
take a quick report and be back with the coverage. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Dear ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at this quick report and we'll get back with you later.
signaled the role of women's empowerment in Kuwait happened in 2005, when women first obtained the right to vote and stand for election. This pivotal moment enabled Massouma El-Mbarak to become the first female minister in the history of the nation. In another major breakthrough for the country, 4 women were elected to the National Assembly 4 years later, on May 16, 2009, gaining seats in parliament for the first time. Asil Al-Awadi and Rulla Deshti were among the winners in the 3rd district, while former health minister Massouma El-Mbarak and Salwa Al-Jassa also secured seats in parliament. Their electoral success began a new chapter in Kuwait's political history, in which women became active contributors to the democratic process of the country. Additionally, in April 2006, women exercised the right to vote and run for the municipal council for the first time, during which Jinan Bushehri became the first woman to run in the elections. The Kuwaiti leadership played a huge role in these achievements and continued to support the empowerment of women. Kuwaiti women are expecting more triumphs under the wise leadership of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah. May Allah bless and protect him.
In a nation where unity is strength, where every voice matters, the state of Kuwait unites us. On the 4th of April, Election Day arrives. A day where the nation's heartbeat resonates in every vote cast. It's a day of empowerment, a day of choice, where the future is shaped by the will of the people. Collecting the voice of the nation. Choose your future. Be part of the change and vote on the 4th of April.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Jassim, before we get off here for this segment, I would like to ask you, some of the candidates are between the age of 30 and 39 years old. Do you think having younger MPs help deal with youth issues more effectively or not?
First of all, it's time for the young to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time for the young to be involved while the older generation is still around, because they need the support and the advice of the older generation. They cannot alone on their own proceed, you know. The difference is that those range of years of young people, in my experience today, they are much more educated than in my lifetime at that age, mainly because of the abundancy of the availability of information through the electronic social media.
Devices as well.
Social media. Before you had to either listen to the radio or read the newspaper.
Or go to the library.
Go to the library if you're a good reader and listen. But now you have it all in the palm of your hand.
Correct.
So this is an advantage, and His Highness the Emir has always said that he's a supporter of the younger generation. As we can see, he is bringing younger generation into the cabinet members, and of course the public is realizing that the younger generation does have something to offer. Now that has to do with the status of their level of availability of information in their system, but they lack the experience. Where will that experience come from?
From the older generations.
They have to be accommodating to listen to the older generation. The problem would be if the younger generation thinks that he is of a certain culture and the older people are of a different culture and they cannot communicate. This, I believe, would be a loss for both sides. the older cannot transfer his information, his knowledge to the younger, because the younger is not willing to accept what the older will tell him. Mm-hmm. This, I believe, is not only a problem in Kuwait, it could be human nature. But I believe there must be a way, and our Islamic and Kuwaiti culture and heritage has always been respective of the older generation and listening to the older generation. He doesn't have to abide with everything he says. He can take as much as he likes from the information that he can absorb from him.
As long as it serves the community and the public interest.
And helps him to move on forward.
Correct.
So I believe that the younger generation, when it comes to the National Assembly, we will see, it will take him some time, it will take him the learning curve at the National Assembly to learn, to be wiser when he talks on the podium. He can think more intelligently, more legally, and be more aware, because you have to learn this system. And I hope that this new generation will learn fast and will be respective of older experiences and learn from the older experiences, so that if there is any consultation going on, that consultant will feel comfortable that he is transferring his knowledge to the younger generation and vice versa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jassim, for being with us here today, and we look forward for the best outcome that serves our country and our people as well.
Inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Wish you the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a quick break and watch the following reports, and we will get back to you with more coverage later on.